Hi guys, welcome to Software Jobs Training, and in this session we are going to learn about more CSS properties. So first of all, we'll begin with the font family. In HTML you can just change the font of the color just like you can change it in Microsoft Word or Notepad or WordPad. Okay, so for that we will be changing the font family property. Okay, so in this sample code I've just written some p tags, so it could be any text tag. Basically it could be headings, p tag, anchor, or anything. So I've written some text using a paragraph tag, and I've given it a class of my font. Okay, so in the CSS section I've actually used the font family property and assigned it a font of Times New Roman that actually belongs to the serif family. Okay, so with changing the font family property, I can actually change the font of this text. Okay, so it's really simple. I'll just show you how to do this in Live Editor. Okay, so let me just go to the slide number 2. Along with the font family, actually we can also increase or decrease the size of the font. Okay, so for that we use the font size property. So either you can give the size in the 16 pixel in the pixel format, or you can define it in the EM format. Okay, so we will see that how do the font size and font family work. So let me just open the Live Editor. Okay, so let me just create a new file and call this as fonts.html and click OK. Okay, so in our file I'm going to get rid of this HTML comment and start from writing the HTML code, and we will give it a title. Okay, so after this I'm going to have a style tag. So in this we are going to write all the CSS, but let me first get ready the HTML. So in body I will just write a heading that says okay, so we have this H1, and it says welcome to Software Jobs Training. Okay, so I can give it an ID or class, but or I can just use the tag name selector. So I'm going to select this using tag name, and I'm good to write the font family properties. Okay, so in our example we actually had Times New Roman property given to it, but you can give it something different as font family, and you can say Calibri. So these fonts actually depend on the fonts actually installed on your machine. So Calibri is a standard font, so it is installed on almost all machines. So font family, and let me just save this and view. So as you can see that it has a more modern looking, some sleek font. Okay, so that is font family Calibri. You can give other fonts as like Arial or Times New Roman. You can go to web and check the whole list of fonts that you can use, and then we'll see the font size property. Okay, so either you can give it like 2 EM or 3 EM, or you can use the pixels. So we can give it like 40 pixels. This is going to be quite big, so I'm going to save this and view. So as you can see that our heading is slightly bigger than before. Alright, so you can just use font size and font family, and one more property that can be used is font weight. Okay, so this is generally between 100 and 800. Okay, so 800 is the maximum weight and 100 is the least weight. So 400 will be good. This is actually the boldness of your text. Okay, so if you want to have bolder text, you can use higher values for font weight, and if you want sleeker text, then it is good to go with the lower end of the font weight. So it will be good if you go with 100 or 400. So as you can see that it looks quite sleek now, right? So the boldness is gone. Okay, if I further reduce it to 100 and save this. Okay, so our Calibri fonts only supports up to 400. Okay, so 400 is the smallest value. Let's have it back to 400 and we're good. Alright, so let me just jump back to console. So this was basically about font family and font size. So you can check the complete list of font families that you can use. You can also use external fonts. So for that you can take help of Google Fonts. So they basically provide everything that you need to install an external font on your website in case you want to go with really fancy fonts. So that can come handy. So slide number 3 is skill assessment. So skipping this up. Okay, so now we are going to discuss the link states. All right, so if you remember, we did anchor tags in our previous example, right? So in our old examples, but over here we are going to see that what all link states can be used on anchor tags. Okay, and these can be also used on h1s or p tags, or almost any element of HTML actually supports these link states. Okay, so there are multiple link states, like suppose if you put your cursor on this text. Okay, so this turns into blue. Okay, so if I take my cursor off, it turns yellow, and when I take it on, it turns blue, right? So this is actually working on mouse over, which is in CSS it's called the hover state. Okay, so there are 4 states that we need to cover. First one is link, that is a regular unvisited link, so by default it'll show up a link state. Visited state is a state which actually comes into play when you actually clicked the button or the link. So suppose you have already clicked this link, it will not show this yellow color, it will show a purple color. Okay, so you might have seen this in your Google search. So if you have already visited some URL, it won't show the default color, it will show something similar to purple or something. So this one is actually for the link that has been already visited. Okay, hover is a link state that works with all the elements, so it can work with images, tables and everything. So this one is activated when you actually put your mouse over your element or your text. Okay, and active one is actually when your text is actually being clicked. So I'm gonna hold down my left mouse button, and as you can see that I've not released my button yet, so this is actually turned into green, and this can be quite helpful, right? So these are the 4 states. link, this is the default state, and visited one, once you're done visiting the page and you come back, so visited. And hover is for when I take my cursor over it, and active is when my element is actually being clicked. Okay, alright, so I'm back into the live editor and we are going to see it in action. So I'm going to have an anchor tag with href. We can put it blank, so you just put a hash symbol over here. This will do nothing actually, so this is a blank anchor tag because I do not need to link any pages. And then you can say click here to see. Okay, so this is This is an anchor tag, and again I'm going to access this through tag name only. So you can just say that a colon link. Alright, so this will be the default one, alright, when the link is not actually being visited. So I can say that color could be orange, and on hover it should turn the color into red, and visited should be color purple. So as you can see that I'm writing multiple declarations for each and every link state. And one is active. On active I can say color green. Okay, so you can just write multiple properties, you can change the font sizes, you can put any sort of effects according to yourself depending upon your requirements. Okay, so if you want to change the font size as well as the color in hover, so you can just hit enter and write the font size and everything. Okay, so currently I've used the 4 states for this anchor tag, and let me just save this and click on view. So as you can see that by default this is purple, but as I take my mouse on this one it actually turns red, and if I hold my mouse this will turn into green. Okay, so this is quite interesting, right? And visited will be okay, visited will only will only come into play if you actually link 2 pages, because I have not linked it properly. Okay, so visited can be used to see that if a link is already visited or not. Okay, so now we go to the next slide, and syntax is we have already covered this. So first of all you need to write the selector. In our case we just write the tag name as the selector, so anchor tag, and then you need to put a colon that is over here, and then link state. Okay, so it's pretty simple. We have already done this in live editor. So on slide number 3 we have the skill assessment. This is going to basically cover all the font properties and the link state properties. So it is very good that you go through this once, and I'm going to skip this. Okay, so commenting is also important, like as we have already discussed in our previous videos, that comments are very important to know, to write something in your code that actually does not affect the output, right? Because they're good to take notes and explain the code, because there could be multiple people working on your code, so it could be hard for them to understand your code. So it is always a good practice to write code with a lot of comments, so that you can nicely explain your code. Okay, so in CSS these comments are basically placed in a slash star and star slash. Okay, so anything between these two will be actually counted as a comment, and this won't have any effect on the page output. Okay, so let me just dive into the live editor and write some short CSS comment. So make sure that it is inside the style tag, because CSS comments only are CSS specific. Okay, so if you will write them in HTML, this won't work. Okay, so take care of this. These are CSS comments. So slash star, and I can write basically anything inside this. So I can say link states of anchor tag, and to end the comment I can just put a star and slash. So as you can see that this will turn the color of it into gray sort of color. So this will tell that okay, this is a comment, so I do not need to pay too much attention to this. This won't affect the output. Okay, so these are just for your reference. Alright, and so these are the final words. That there's actually a lot more to CSS. Okay, so the newer version, that is CSS 3, actually allows you to take advantage of some really exciting things like text effects, transformations, animations, and more. Okay, so before now we have just done the CSS, and this will be good enough to build our pages and provide some nice styles to our HTML structure. So this will bring us to the end of the video. So thanks a lot for watching.